What's going on, Steelers Nation? This is the Black and Gold Report. Just a little recap of day one of Steelers training camp. There's a lot of storylines going into this camp. You know, Mike McCarthy, what it looks like, what his system looks like, what his training camps look like. We got a little taste of all of that. You know, not a all in all, you know, what it's going to look like, but we got a little taste, and there were some standouts. And I told y'all that Brandon Smith was going to show out in this training camp and give himself a shot at making this roster. And boy, did he do that in day one of training camp. And I know it's day one. There's a lot of practices left, and he's got a long way to go. But he had a couple of catches, and he had some reps with the ones, which is very encouraging for him. From Aaron Rodgers, a pretty back shoulder ball that he brought in over the middle. And, you know, very encouraging. You know, his drill work, you know, wasn't the prettiest. It wasn't flawless. But when he got in the team sessions, it was he made people look around like, who is 87? Who is Brandon Smith? Because he looked, you know, impressive. And, you know, back-to-back catches from A-Rod. You know, I do look forward to seeing how the rest of his camp looks, but this is a great and as good a start as he could ask for coming into this camp to impress the coaches and try to make this roster. Another person that looked really well as far as receiver was Roman Wilson. He had a lot of wide receiver 3 reps, probably more than anybody at the wide receiver 3 role. And, you know, Aaron targeted him a lot today, and he had some impressive catches, one diving that was a little bit off the mark from A-Rod, but he made it happen. And, you know, I was very encouraged by what he looked like today in practice. And, you know, McCarthy said that, you know, we're not hitting, we're not going to tackle, we're going to try to stay up, because he's had a lot of camps that resulted in some key players getting injured, and he was just going to try to prioritize safety and health. And I appreciate that, but we're going to see a lot more next week, you know, as far as these guys that are showing out at practice. What if they still show out with pads on? I do think that we're going to get a lot of answers, a lot of clarity on who's going to make this roster starting next week. I know this is an acclimation period, and, you know, it's basically a 7-on-7 deal at this point. And team is, you know, the pass rush has to stop. You know, they're not gonna sack the quarterback and all that kind of stuff. But Roman Wilson did show out, and I'm very encouraged by what I saw from him and what we're going to see in the future from him. Another guy that impressed me was Asante Samuel. His closing speed against the ones at receiver was pretty eye-opening and impressive, you know, from last year to this year. He had one, Michael Pittman Jr. was running an out route, and he was over the top of it, and his closing speed and deflection was very, very impressive. And I look forward to seeing him throughout camp and going into the preseason games and all of that. It's very encouraging what I saw today, and I can't wait to see more. You know, A-Rod looked crisp. He had some off balls, but he looked very crisp. DK Metcalf looked crisp. But if I had to say what our darling of camp day one was Brandon Smith, you know, I'm anxious to see once we get pads on what he looks like. But his hands are so smooth, and his ball skills are so smooth, and, you know, he gets open. And if he keeps that up throughout the entirety and the longevity of camp, the Steelers are going to have to make a decision. They're going to have a hard decision to make, because you can't deny that in today's NFL. And, you know, for A-Rod to keep throwing at him, that means he trusts him, and that is a telltale sign of what could come for him if he keeps this up. And Roman Wilson the same way. Asante Samuel, very trustworthy, especially with, Joey Porter Jr. and Jalen Ramsey being out right now. That is a great, great, great opportunity for Asante Samuel to cement himself as a pivotal player on this defense. And as far as the other two, and all three of them combined, I think that they showed signs of them being valuable to this team, and I'm anxious to see what the Steelers do. Another side note, the Steelers talked to Jordan Whitehead today. He's a Pittsburgh native, somebody that, I'm anxious to see where that goes. I know they were just talking today. We will see where that goes in the future, but I thought that was kind of interesting. All Steelers talked about it earlier today on their live. It's early. He has talked to a couple of other teams, but I do think that is a interesting keynote that the Steelers were talking to him today. And as far as day one, that is pretty much it. That's what I observed. Brandon Smith looked great today. We'll see where that leads if he can stack days like that all throughout training camp. That bodes well for him. He's got a long way to go, don't get me wrong, but that bodes well if he can stack those day after day after day, having days like that in team periods and 11-on-11s. Roman Wilson, looking good. Had some great catches today. A-Rod kept targeting him. That's a positive sign. And Asante Samuel looking as great as he did today with his closing speed and ball skills. That is just a great sign leading into camp. I look forward to day two. Can't wait to recap you guys on day two. Before we get out of here, leave your thoughts down below. Please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and we'll see you next time. Here we go.